Hi, my name is Kayla Loomis, and for this professional development today, we will be talking about literature circles. So, for a quick overview on what literature circles are all about, we're first going to do a definition and see what kind of that entails in your classroom today. We're going to talk about why literature circles are a thing and how we can start implementing these. I've discussed a couple of journal articles that I've been able to read and analyze about literature circles. And we're going to talk about the how to plan them, how to implement them, how to teach them to your students. And we're also going to be talking about the roles that students can play and that teachers can play in literature circles. So let's go on to the next slide. So, for literature circles, a definition. Literature circles are student led, small group discussions that promote active learning and engagement with literacy texts. So, literacy circles, they're usually around 3 to 5 students in a group, and for it can kind of vary because you can have a different kind of roles for each student. So, if you have 5 students in a group, you would have 5 roles or jobs for them. So, what I want you to do now, with the person sitting next to you or in a 3 or 4 person group, I want you to just think of the question, why should literature circles be used in the classroom today? So, I'm going to give you guys a few seconds now, a couple minutes, and just think about that with yourselves before we get started. So, you can go ahead and pause the video or just think about it on your own. Okay, now that you have time to pause the video, think about those questions, I'm now going to talk about 3 peer reviewed articles that I have gone through and kind of analyzed and seen what the importance are about literature circles. So, the first article I read was called Literature Circles Promote Accountability and Student Engagement with a Science Reading in a Soil Science Class. The next article was called The Effect of Literature Circles on Text Analysis and Reading Desire. And then the third article was called Effectiveness of Literature Circles on Student Reading Comprehension. So, article number 1 was called Literature Circles Promote Accountability and Student Engagement with Assigned Reading in a Soil Science Class. So, as you can see on the screen, I put the research question and the purpose statement on here. But first of all, this text was published in February of 2023. The research question has stated, can approaches used to teach basic reading skills in grade school and be employed at the higher education level? The purpose statement says, the object of this study was to assess the impact of literature circles on student engagement and learning outcomes in pedagogy courses. So, I found this article to be very helpful because they did pre-tests and post-tests about different literacy skills and different literacy strategies that would help students be engaged in lessons. And what they did in this study, it took place at a Midwestern Research University in the spring of 21 and 22. It was conducted in a level undergraduate and graduate courses. Um, and what they did was they spent time in literature circles and just kind of see if their improvement in reading and different kind of strategies like main idea, theme, and keywords were able to increase because of the literature review. So the findings that they had in this article, the literature circles and the lectures were both based on the same readings, but focused on different topics, what I thought was really interesting. The discussions for the literature circle were focused on a foundational topic, and they had more discussions about it. And one thing I really liked about this article was that the students said that it was fun. They felt comfortable. They were able to share ideas. Um, they were able to recommend it. They were engaged and motivated, and most of them liked it compared to the lecture style. So there's one. Article number 2, this was from 2017, and the research questions are here on the board. Are literature circles effective in increasing students' ability to analyze text? The second question says, are literature circles effective in improving the student ability to find the topic, main idea, and key words? And the third question stated, are literature circles effective in increasing the students' desire for independence in reading and interest in reading? The purpose statement says, to give students the necessary skills to understand long and complex text. So, something that I found really interesting about this article was that it was 12 weeks long at 1 hour per week. There were 92 third year students involved in the study, and 36 were male and 56 were female. So, their findings. So, again, with this study, which I thought was really interesting, was that students took both a pre-test and a post-test on a reading to class to determine the different reading strategies for comprehension. And there was a significant difference in the scores when students had to figure out the theme, main idea, and keywords. Um, and that the literature circles made it possible for all students to participate and be engaged and learn. And I love that because all students should be able to learn the material. And I think this is a great way to get everyone involved. And then students were also provided with opportunities to access books from different perspectives. They also were able to overcome fears and improve their speaking abilities and their self confidence within a smaller group with individuals. Article number 3 was called Effectiveness of Literature Circles on Students' Reading Comprehension. The research question stated, researchers wanted to see the effect of literature cycles to improve reading comprehension. The purpose statement was that students' motivation is to learn the purpose of this study. So, this article was published in 2016, and there was 12 classes with about 25 to 30 students, but the experimental group and the control group both had 24 students in it. And the findings in this article was about how literature circles had a positive impact on all of these students, even in their literal and inferential reading, including reading comprehension, determining main ideas, themes, drawing inferences, and making predictions. So, in all three of these articles, students were engaged. They were able to connect to the article and kind of connect with their peers on a different level instead of the teacher talking at them the whole time. So, how to plan. So, you want to make sure that you're picking a text or a reading, that you are implementing this in your class. You want to choose your groups, or if you feel comfortable with allowing your students to pick their own groups, then that's up to you guys as the teacher. You want to go over instructions and explicitly tell them how they should have their conversation. You want to talk about the roles, which we'll be going over in a second, and also how to behave and act in a literature circle. So there's different roles that are in your little book club. So there's the connector, there's their illustrator, the vocabulary person, discussion director, and the summarizer. So I found these very cool little postcards that you can give to each kid in your group, depending on what role they have. And either the teacher can pick this or the students can pick it. So there's a connector, and they want to make sure that they're connecting the reading to text to self, text to text, or text to world. The next one is an illustrator. So they're going to draw the picture based on one of the scenes from the text. The vocabulary Victor, so you can just give them like silly names and get your students more engaged. And this is going to be the person that determines a couple unknown words that helps the readers understand their reading. And then we have the discussion director, and this person is going to be more in charge of making sure that the conversations are continuing to be on point and creating questions about the reading and requiring a little bit more than just saying yes or no answer. And then we have the Savvy Summarizer, and they're just going to summarize about the reading, including important details and using complete sentences. So there's different kinds of roles because all students learn differently, and it's important to get all the students engaged. So I want to ask you guys, I want you guys to think of a couple questions. What have you taken away today? Why should literature circles be used? And think of a way of how you could implement this in your classroom today. So, for the remainder of this professional development, this next hour or two that you guys have, I want you guys to just kind of think about these questions. So, if you need to pause the video, and then try to think about these and write it down. All right. So, a couple takeaways that I have from this professional development was that it engages all students in critical thinking, reflective skills, and being more comfortable responding to texts. You were able to collaborate with peers. You were able to draw connections between the text and their own experiences, and you're able to have a small group discussion with your peers. I know when I was in school and I was in a small group, I was more able to talk rather than it being a whole group. So I know for a lot of students, this might be really helpful for them to communicate with the text. So there's all different ways that we can communicate. And then I just have my citations that I used for this text. Yeah, so thank you so much for listening to my professional development. And if you have any questions or concerns or want any additional resources, let me know and I can be sure to help you out with that. So thank you and have a great night.